Hi, welcome to the podcast. This is Andy O'Neill with KansasCityBikeTrails.com, and we're going to be looking at the Indian Creek Trail today. At least the first segment of it I have recorded, and we're starting at the Alex George athletic fields. You can see over here on the map the Alex George Lake. From the map, it looks pretty gross, and that's pretty much how it looked when I was there over Labor Day weekend. So we're going to be looking at some things here. One of the things I did notice, and I'm going to check up on and put this on the podcast, but a lot of dogs off leash on this trail, and we're in Kansas City, Missouri at this point. And so my guess is there's no leash ordinance for Kansas City, Missouri. So I'm going to check that, and I'm going to put that in the body of the podcast, and because I'm curious myself. Once I got into Kansas on this particular segment of the trail, didn't have that problem. Didn't see any dogs off leash. In fact, where I stopped this ride was at an off leash park in Leawood, a park called Leawood. Kind of a play on words, very cutesy. So anyway, just something to keep. I didn't have any problem with dogs on this ride. I always keep Mace with me just in case, because you never know. And but if you're gonna, I think most dog owners understand if you're gonna have your dog off leash, then there's a lot of responsibility that goes with that. So didn't have any problems. Since this is our first podcast, I want to talk about the gauges and dials that you see on the video. And so up at the top we have the bearing, and that just gives you the direction of where I'm going. Right now I'm going right at due north, now a little bit northeast. So, and you can see the degrees there. On the right hand side on the top, you see the actual trail that I'm going, a little squiggly line, and that is the shape of the ride that I'm taking on this day. And if I were to zoom the map out, which I don't want to lose my place, it would look exactly like that little squiggly. On the right hand side, before I go to that, I just want to point out this really nice bridge crossing the Blue River. It's a little rough for the camera, but it's a nice little bridge, and just really impressed with the facilities and how it's kept up in Kansas City, Missouri. The dials on the right hand side, the top one is our miles. That's how far we've gone. So at this point I've ridden 0.6 miles. That middle one is the grade. So grade is basically the slope. Positive is up, negative is down, 0 is perfectly flat. So that'll give you an idea if I'm going uphill or downhill. With this particular camera and the way it kind of has a wide angle lens, it's actually hard to tell without looking at that sometimes. The bottom right corner, that gauge is the elevation. So that's another way to see if we're going up or down. Nice ball fields and athletic fields off to the right here. Again, just a really nice facility at this point in the trail. Bottom left-hand corner of the camera, we've got an elevation chart. And so the dark green line is basically going to, as I go up, I'm going to go up those lines and down. That's basically the hills and, the up and down that I'm going to ride on this ride. And I've got Garmin Verb. The video camera I'm using is the Garmin Verb, and I love it. Crossing here at the park, and then once we wait for a couple cars here, we'll be on our way. This was early morning. This was probably at this point 7:45, 8 o'clock. I think's when this is being shot on Labor Day 2015. Actually, the Sunday before Labor Day. This is a Sunday morning. So I'm gonna let the video roll. Whenever there's something I want to jump in and mention, I'll do that. Otherwise, what I'll do is I'll speed it up in between comments. So if you want to see the full-length video uninterrupted without my voice in your head, that's on the page for this ride. And so, but this is a little different because I'm kind of talking through it. It's a video podcast is really what we're doing, what I'm doing here. So we'll just sit back and ride. As you notice on the map, we've come alongside and we're kind of paralleling I-435. and in a bit we're going to hang a left, and we're going to go under I-435. Pretty tall overpass, and a lot of cool graffiti on the left-hand side of the piers as we go underneath. And here's that overpass, and if you kind of peek over there, there's some pretty amazing art right there at the bottom of those piers. One of these days I may stop and take pictures and put a blog of that graffiti. See there was a trail off to the left, and that's access. That's another means of getting to the trail. And we're coming up here, going under what appears to be a railroad bridge. And I'm thankful for those coverings over the top so nobody can throw a brick on your head and hurt you. You notice this drops off onto gravel, and there's not a lot of gravel on here on this trail. I think primarily the gravel is in just KCMO. It's a little rougher than I'd like. There's some potholes here or there, but otherwise it's pretty decent. It's pretty good shape. Another railroad bridge here. We're going to cross. This may be the same line that we went under earlier. Very well may be. It looks like the same direction the tracks are going. Dropping back off on gravel again. And here's that same train line again. Going to cross. You can see all the leaves up on the fence. Obviously that fence has been underwater and it's got leaves in there and even damaged. It kind of pulled some of the fence off of the kind of down away from the poles a little bit. So kind of amazing all this was underwater at one point, but I guess you get enough rain, that'll happen for sure. Now at this point, just to give you a frame of reference, we're kind of paralleling and running along Bannister Road. Bannister Road's going to be to our right, a little ways off, but that's kind of where we're at, just to give you a frame of reference. You know, going almost due west right now. Another set of off-leash dogs coming up. German Shepherds. I typically don't worry about German Shepherds. They're pretty well behaved. You kind of get an idea of what breeds are a problem. Was a little nervous because that one was way up ahead and kind of off by itself, but ended up not being a problem. And again, well behaved, off leash, but well behaved. And I'm taking a little map break here just to make sure I stay on the right path. That path to the left that goes up the hill is another access point. Straight here keeps us on Indian Creek Trail. And we're getting ready to go under Lydia Avenue right up here. This is a really pretty, lush, just kind of a gorgeous section of the trail. Very green, lots of flowers. You can see a lot of yellow and white flowers along here. I want to come back in, I don't know, late September, October sometime, when this is kind of in the peak of color, and ride this again. I think it'd be just absolutely gorgeous. A really fun ride. Nice, cool weather ride. Another neat little bridge here that goes over Indian Creek. Coming up on East 99th Street right now. Gonna go underneath that overpass, and then we're gonna stay left. There's a trail that goes off to the right, and it goes right up to East 99th, and that's another access point. So just stop and take a little look at the map, and then we'll be on our way. It's amazing you ride trails like this that are in the city, and we're getting ready to ride past. We're gonna go under Holmes Road, and then we're gonna go past a mall area where the Thai House is, and the Thai House is a restaurant. It's right here. It's right here on the end of this building. It's a restaurant that my wife and I and my family have eaten at multiple times, and I had no idea that this trail was right behind it when we were eating there. And so I passed this stuff on the trail, and you just have no idea that this was here at that time. And we'll see that again later when we'll around the state line area. We'll see Applebee's. It's at 103rd and State Line. Same kind of deal. I was riding along and I saw that, and I said, man, I had no idea this trail was right here this close. And so it's kind of a cool thing. All right, you'll see we're right next to Indian Creek off on our left. We're going underneath Warnall Road. And you can see there was a lot of mud and stuff on the sidewalk, so that is flooded sometime. You can see that rail right over here on the left is bent back. That's been flooded sometime recently. I don't know if it was this spring or not, but that's been flooded. Now we're parallel right with Indian Creek. It is off to our left. A funny story about this little corner. I was messing with my phone, looking at the map, and then I turned the corner, and then suddenly this steep embankment was there. So this is the only time I had to hop off and push. But apologize for the pushing and hopping on and off here and to get up there. But a lot of there's a lot of steep inclines as you go from like creek level and then back up on the greenway, or a lot of times you'll drop down under an underpass, and that'll be steep to go down and then back up. And so they're real short and they're real steep. So just kind of keep an eye out for that, because you turn around, turn the corner, and suddenly there's this steep embankment right in front of you. So something to keep in mind. This is 103rd Street. We're going to go under here. And I think this is the point pretty soon where I was able to see the Applebee's, kind of as we rise up over here. There's the Applebee's. We're in the neighborhood of the Panera Bread. And let's see, we're next to Jasper's and Jerry's Cafe. It's kind of where we're at per the map over here. Still hugging pretty tight to Indian Creek. Still on our left. And it's gotten bigger, quite a bit bigger than from the time we started our ride. All right, that sign just said leaving Kansas City, Missouri, and from there to the point we get into Leawood, the trail gets really narrow. It's muddy. It's quite a bit narrower than what I was used to up to this point. So it's kind of an odd deal. It almost feels like no man's land, like Kansas City's not going to take care of it, Leawood's not going to take care of it, or something. So we pulled up right along. I think this is 103rd, and then we're going to make a left-hand clover kind of deal if you're on the interstate, and then drop down back to the trail. So basically we're going over Indian Creek, and then we'll drop down next to the creek again and continue our ride. So we are in Leawood now, Leawood, Kansas. Actually, I think that road we just crossed was state line. That makes sense, because we are definitely in Leawood now. So kind of coming back up, you see on the map, coming up, going to get really close to Indian Creek again, and then kind of parallel it for a while. And we're getting close to the end of our ride, and I'll point out on the map, you can see the marker for Leawood Dog Park. And so I stopped right there, and it's actually kind of on the back side of a Leawood City Park. And so that's where I'll be stopping. And when I pick up again, you can see the checkered flag now on the map there. In this little bend, we're getting kind of come around a tight curve, and that's actually right next to the entrance to Leawood, and you'll see that off to the left. And there were quite a few people coming in with their dogs Sunday morning, and so this little path to the left goes right over to the park, and it's not very far, maybe 20 yards. and a lot of owners with dogs coming and going. And so we're at the end of the trail, the podcast, and I hope you enjoyed it. Love to hear your feedback. Love to hear the things you'd like to see in future podcasts. And if you like this format, I like to kind of tell you and show you what I saw and what's going on, because the whole idea here is I'd like for you to become familiar with the trails. And I think often we get familiar with the trails we're used to, and so we just do those by default instead of trying new ones. And my goal, this is pushing me to try new trails, and I'd like to encourage you to try new trails too. So we're at the end of our ride. We are near the Leawood Dog Park. Off to the right, you can see a parking lot and cars. That is actually a Leawood City Park. I don't know if it's the Leawood City Park or if it has another name than that. I don't know, but it's on. When I came in and rode I started here and made another ride later this same day. It was on Lee Street, Lee Boulevard. It was on a street called Lee, and so I'll get more details about that later. But so we did stop here in Leawood and started in Kansas City, Missouri. So it was a nice ride. I think it was 6.2 miles in all, and I hope you enjoyed it. And I certainly enjoyed riding it. I certainly enjoyed showing it to you. And again, I would love to hear your thoughts on this format, this podcast, and what you would like to see. Maybe you have a favorite trail that you're just dying to see video of, or you've always wanted to go try it. Hey, there's a trail up such and such. I've always wanted to go up there and ride it. Will you go ride it and videotape it so I can see it first? I'd be happy to do that. That would be fun. So give me feedback. Love to hear from you. Thank you.